Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests. On behalf of Medical Capabilities Development and Integration Directorate and Colonel Samuel L. Fricks, Chief of Medical Evacuation Concepts and Capabilities Division, welcome to the HH-60 Lima 995 Medical Evacuation Unveiling Ceremony. Joining us today from USACE Command Team are Major General David J. Francis, Chief Warrant Officer 5 Michael L. Lewis, and Command Sergeant Major James D. Wilson. Other distinguished guests present today are Mr. J. Harmon, Brigadier General Paula C. Lodi, Brigadier General Andrew C. Helms, and friends of the Dustoff family. We welcome you to today's ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the invocation given by Chaplain Crowley and remain standing for the playing of our national anthem performed by the 313th Army Band out of Redstone Arsenal, Alabama.
Please bow with me and pray in your own tradition. Father, we ask your presence to be here with us today at the 995 Unveiling Ceremony. We ask now that you remind us inevitably in our minds with the recognition of the golden hour missions that this helicopter flew, with our patriots that it transported to care and safety. As our Army continues to innovate and make changes, give us wisdom to take airframes to superior life-saving capabilities. As we close, we would be remiss if we did not remember our soldiers that are on the front lines of freedom, protect them, and bring them safely home to their families. We pray all this in your holy name, above the best. Amen.
Please be seated. "995 was one of only 34 HH-60 Limas produced by Sikorsky before implementation of the Mike model. HH-60 Lima was the Army's first production aircraft utilizing a partial 1553 data bus architecture with a single monochrome multifunction display combined with legacy UH-60 Alpha Lima equipment. The HH-60 Lima was also part of the first Black Hawk that was purpose-built for the production and for the aeromedical mission. Prior models were retrofitted or upgraded from a base model. This makes HH-60 Lima the first rotary wing aircraft after the UH-1 Iroquois, better known as a Huey, to have design features incorporated uniquely for the MEDEVAC mission. It serves as the predecessor to today's medical equipment suite with innovations such as an onboard oxygen generation and a patient modular handling system. Before this design, medical personnel had to operate on a system that was almost 40 years old and not easily reconfigurable. 995 first flew in 2004 from the Sikorsky plant to its first home with 507th Med Company at Fort Hood, Texas. During this assignment, the unit reflagged as Charlie Company 2nd GSAB, 4th CAB, 4th ID, and served 3 combat tours, 2 in Taji, Iraq as part of Operation Iraqi Freedom, and 1 in Mazar-e-Sharif, Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. 995 then relocated to Charlie Company, 2nd GSAB, 501st CAB, 1st AD at Fort Bliss, Texas, where it served its 4th combat tour to Mazar-e-Sharif, Afghanistan, supporting Operation Enduring Freedom. Upon return from its final deployment, 995 was retired in 2014 and assigned to Fort Eustis, Virginia as a maintenance training aircraft, where it has provided an immeasurable teaching benefit to our 15 series maintenance personnel. In December of 2021, 995 was transported to its final mooring here with MECD at Fort Rucker, Alabama. All HH-60 Lima models have been decommissioned or sold to other government agencies. This is the last surviving HH-60 Lima in the Army. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Colonel Samuel L. Fricks, Chief of Medical Evacuation Concepts and Capabilities Division.
First of all, I want to say I've been as nervous as a bride on her wedding day who planned an outdoor ceremony in spring the past 24 hours. So thank the Lord for these current VFR conditions. Major General Francis, Mr. Harmon, Brigadier General Lodi, Brigadier General Helms, Colonel Jones, CW5 Lewis, Command Sergeant Major Wilson, distinguished guests, friends, and family, thank you for being here today. Today marks an exciting and historic occasion as we unveil the only MEDEVAC Black Hawk on display in the entire Department of Defense. And unlike most aircraft on display, 995 still has a mission, that of capability development. 995 will help us improve patient care in current and future systems as we're able to test concepts and conduct studies on site. This is a project that is nearly 2 years in the making, and there are many people and agencies to thank. But let's get back to the aircraft for now. As you heard our narrator describe, 995 is a unique aircraft. Only a handful like it were produced, and it served as a technological transition between the analog Alpha Lima and the digital Mike model we have today. It served for only 10 years, which is a relatively short period of time for a Black Hawk. Despite its brief time in service, 995 made a tremendous impact on those who flew it and on those who were evacuated by it. Ever since mankind has taken to the skies, there's been a bond that forms between the aircraft and the crews who fly them. If you've been around aviation, you know that each aircraft in a unit has its own traits and characteristics, its own personality even. 995 was known by the crews who flew it as a beast, another way of saying that it was a reliable and dependable aircraft, the opposite of the dreaded Hangar Queen. Ever since 995's arrival to Fort Rucker back in December, in addition to the many calls we received as to why an aircraft had landed so close to our building, 995 has received an amazing and impactful online following. We quickly began to receive pictures and stories from crew members who served with the aircraft, many who are no longer in the Army. An unexpected result of the fanfare was the connection the aircraft had on those who had served with it. It was like the members of the unit had just reconnected with a long-lost battle buddy. Today, we are privileged and honored to have with us some of those former crew members. CW3 retired James Frederick, who served as the company standardization instructor pilot, earned the Distinguished Flying Cross and won a 995 sister aircraft, and during a rooftop rescue in Iraq. He'll tell you that the technology this aircraft brought to the battlefield was trailblazing at the time. The externally mounted hoist was ready and available, making that daring rescue possible, where most of all the other aircraft in theater had the internal hoist removed because of the design of the carousel system. The use of the nose-mounted FLIR was an enabler for limited visibility and other degraded visual environments. Former specialist Jeff Dean, who served as a crew chief on 995, who is now a military and veterans journalism fellow for NPR, told me that the modular patient handling system allowed for immediate access to the 6-liter configuration, and they were routinely able to put many patients inside the aircraft. It is also rapidly reconfigurable to accommodate ambulatory patients. This is the same patient handling system we currently utilize in the Mike model. Now we're incorporating the lessons learned from both of these models to inform and improve the next system as we move forward. I understand that we have a number of other former crew members in the audience who served on 995. Would you all please stand at this time? Round of applause. this time, I'd also like to recognize Lieutenant Colonel Retired John McMahon, the president of the Dust-Off Association. The Dust-Off Association provided a generous monetary gift to Fort Rucker that enabled the construction of this permanent mooring pad before you. This gift will ensure that the aircraft is properly secured and able to be enjoyed for years to come. Thank you. A sincere thanks and gratitude goes to Mr. John Hannon and his team for making 995 a reality for us, and for all the extra work that went into making this aircraft display ready. I know this was not an easy task, and we are grateful for you and your team's hard work for filling the holes, painting, and transporting this aircraft here. And finally, thanks to the many Fort Rucker agencies involved in this entire process. Fort Rucker Garrison and DPW, to name a few. And to my employees and soldiers here at MECD who worked tirelessly to make today a reality, a special heartfelt thanks. Special thanks to our friends at the Alabama Army National Guard for the use of their 997 A3 frontline ambulance, U.S. Army Medical Research and Development Command, and U.S. Army Material Development Agency for bringing the only existing Joint Light Tactical Vehicle ambulance prototype, and to the Program Manager, Armored Multi-Purpose Vehicle, or AMPV, for bringing the evacuation variant for you to look at. And our partners at Nav Air, who worked extremely hard to build a 1/3 scale model of the multimodal vehicle interface that's going to inform the design of the next patient handling system for future vertical lift. All these systems are available for you to get a closer look at after the ceremony. And thank you to the band for the live music. You sound exceptional. Now, it's my honor and privilege to introduce our keynote speaker. Please welcome the Deputy Commanding General of Support, U.S. Army Medical Command, Brigadier General Paula C. Lodi.
Good morning, distinguished visitors. I also appreciate the weather holding off for today. It is an absolute privilege for myself and First Sergeant Remley to represent the Army Surgeon General and Commanding General of MedCom and the MedCom Command Sergeant Major here today. In particular, First Sergeant Remley, because he has been and represents that frontline medic in an austere environment that relies on the MEDEVAC capability to begin our continuum of care. The team set me up with an opening joke. See, you're laughing already, thank you. I didn't even know aviator jokes were a thing, but how do you know when you're halfway through a date with an aviator? They say, enough about flying, let's talk about me. Okay, good. I'm not really a joke person in my speech, and after being at Quad A, I was actually wondering, is that even a joke? Chaplain, thank you for your invocation. Indeed, greater love hath no man than this, that one should lay down his life for his friends. And that exemplifies the spirit of 995 and the MEDEVAC mission. Shakespeare's Antonio in The Tempest said the past is prologue. And a loose interpretation of that is that everything that has taken place in the past is preparation for opportunities to come. Now, we have a healthy debate in our profession about not refighting the last war. And today we have an opportunity to both honor and demonstrate learning from the past, but do so with an eye towards the future. One of my favorite books, The Things We Carry by Tim O'Brien. I can only imagine the stories and lessons that 995 carries from the past, what it has given those that it has served, both patients' lives saved, pilots and crew members, many represented here today, and what it will give us to carry into the future. Tim O'Brien's experience and writing is coincidentally from Vietnam, the same conflict that codified MEDEVAC in our doctrine. With Major Charles Kelly, helicopter pilot, MEDEVAC commander killed during Vietnam, the father of Dustoff, killed on a MEDEVAC mission. When ordered away from a hot LZ, he defied orders with the legendary phrase, "When I have your wounded." In every conflict since Vietnam, the Army has improved battlefield survival rates, due in large part to the use of MEDEVAC. In OIF and OEF, if you were injured on the battlefield, you had a 92% chance of survival because of the speed and skill of our combat flight paramedics, our dust-off crews, our surgical teams that were all enabled by this platform that is before you today. Indeed, the past has forged an inextricable link between Army aviation and Army medicine, which is why key expertise and capability is co-located here at Fort Rucker with MECD, the Aeromedical Research Lab, the School of Army Aviation Medicine, and the Army's Aeromedical Activity. These four organizations merge the sciences of aviation and medicine to optimize our ability to meet the Army's current and future requirements. And as we look towards the future, our Army's priority is on modernization. And they do execute modernization through Army's Futures Command. Army Futures Command addresses the Army's signature priorities and capabilities gaps through what we call cross-functional teams, who rapidly move requirements to the Army's acquisition system. These efforts are informed by experimentation and technical demonstrations, the likes of which 995 will now be a part of. The Army Surgeon General, General Dingell, has invested in all of the Army Futures Command's cross-functional teams, but his first, most significant, and most deliberate investment was in the Future Vertical Lift cross-functional team, acknowledging the criticality of MEDEVAC to our mission and our commitment to our nation's sons and daughters. So we have sincere appreciation for Major General Rugen and his team and their efforts to integrate MEDEVAC medical equipment package into the future long-range assault aircraft requirements. Last July, under General Rugen's leadership, the Future Vertical Lift cross-functional team partnered with the Medical Material Development Command, and they co-hosted a summit here specifically to ensure that the acquisition strategy and timeline for the FLURA MEDEVAC MEP was solid. Their efforts ultimately resulted in a final design that is relevant and will optimize this platform and future platforms for life-saving treatment. I recently heard one of our ASAs say that we not only equip soldiers, but we soldier equipment. And a recurring theme from Quad A, all the senior leaders reiterated that we don't develop capability without soldier touch points informing the design. And as Colonel Frick said, we know from OIF and OEF that medical interiors were too heavy, too bulky, too cumbersome, too restrictive for efficient patient care, largely because they were developed outside of the platform design. Through a MECD-led space study to determine the modern medical interior requirements and leveraging the U.S. Army Aeromedical Research Laboratory, who evaluated every single task that a provider must do in the body of an aircraft to save lives, the FVL-CFT is incorporating evidence-driven data into future design for the minimum patient treatment space, again, that will inform our ability to save lives on the battlefield. And as we continue to train paramedics to a higher level and a higher standard of care, the way that we develop the platform will mean everything. And this is precisely the type of teamwork and requirements integration that ensures the Army gets modernized capability onto the battlefield before we need it. The scope, scale, tempo of medical casualties in a multi-domain operation environment will undoubtedly place a premium on effective employment of MEDEVAC capability. And the job that the aviation community does and the MEDEVAC community does is not for the faint of heart, which is why the motto here is above the best. Major Kelly's mold in Vietnam was characterized by unarmed, single ships operating without escort aircraft. And there's every indication that if we get involved in a LSCO fight, that is the reality that our soldiers and our platforms will have to operate under. Last week at Quad A, General McConville emphasized that investing in the FLRAA MEDEVAC is essential to ensure we maintain the golden hour standard for American service members serving in combat. FLRAA MEDEVAC will evacuate patients at approximately twice the range of the current MEDEVAC fleet within that 60-minute evacuation standard. This combat radius will significantly increase coverage areas, facilitate the continuum of care, and improve the ability to clear the battlefield of its wounded. This is indeed a unique moment in time to simultaneously honor MEDEVAC's storied past and its critical future, to remind ourselves that the past is, in fact, prologue to what is possible, to usher in a new role for 995 as a capability development tool and an educational mock-up that will advance future capability. And one last thought is Captain Patrick Brady, who assumed command following Major Kelly's death. The day after Major Kelly's death, an officer allegedly walked into Captain Brady's office and tossed the round that pierced Major Kelly's heart, fatally wounding him in combat on that MEDEVAC mission. Tossed the round on his desk and said, "Now are you going to stop flying so aggressively?" Captain Brady picked up that bullet and replied, "We are going to keep flying exactly the way Kelly taught us to, without hesitation, anytime, anywhere." So today is all about the Captain Bradys of tomorrow, who will courageously dedicate themselves to the MEDEVAC mission, and our obligation to field them the very best training, equipment, and innovation to perform dust-off. This is the role that 995 will play. Dust-off is not just a call sign, it's an acronym. It stands for dedicated, unhesitating service to our fighting forces. From the fight line to the fixed facility, Army medicine is committed to ensuring the Army and Army aviation is ready to deploy, fight, and win, because winning matters. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Army medicine is Army strong.
You will notice two separate ribbons before you today. Maroon signifying Army medicine and blue representing Army aviation. Together, these two branches on their own represent the inherent shared responsibility for aeromedical evacuation, a life-saving mission critical to enabling our fighting forces to operate in some of the most contested and austere environments. At this time, we invite the ribbon-cutting party to move forward and take your place by the ribbon. Major General David J. Francis, Commanding General, U.S. Army Aviation Center of Excellence and Fort Rucker, and Brigadier General Paula C. Lodi, MedCom Deputy Commanding General. Both will cut the ribbon together as a sign of Army Aviation and Army Medicine's commitment to shared aeromedical evacuation mission. Also present before you in support of the momentous occasion are Mr. J. Harmon, Deputy to the Commanding General of Medical Center of Excellence, Colonel James Jones, Director of Medical Capability Development and Integration Division, Colonel Samuel Fricks, Chief of Medical Evacuation Concepts and Capabilities Division, Colonel Whitney Gardner, Chief of Staff of USACE and former Battalion Commander of 995, Chief Warrant Officer 5, Michael L. Lewis, Chief Warrant Officer of the branch, and Command Sergeant Major James D. Wilson, USACE Command Sergeant Major. Please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join in the singing the Army song. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. We invite you all to come forward to see 995 and the additional ground platforms highlighting the present and future of the MEDEVAC mission. Please join us for light refreshments, and we thank you for your attendance today.